Good morning, guys. Good morning. Guys, I don't have any more music because Instagram and Facebook and YouTube are threatening that if I keep playing music that I don't have the rights to, they won't let me do my lives. So as much as I love the music and it's such a big part of me and my personality and the way I present myself, I gotta let the music go until I can figure out a better way, because I don't want to not be able to, come out here and give you guys immigration information that's so useful, that's so beneficial, that will help you through your immigration journey. So good morning. Tell me where you're tapping in from, what city, what state, what's up Facebook, what's up YouTube, hey Instagram. So for right now, we won't have any music, but maybe you can play some music in the background where you're at. But on these platforms, I am being threatened. They're trying to ban me if I keep playing all the good Afro beats, but it's all good. I think the most important thing is that I can come on here and educate you guys about immigration, interact with you, and you guys can ask me questions. And I don't want to jeopardize that. So for all of you guys who don't know me, I am Kiki Gilman, your fierce and fabulous immigration attorney. I have been representing clients for about 12 years now. I am physically based in Minneapolis, Minnesota. However, I have clients in all 50 states. It doesn't matter where you live. Give us a call, 612-453-2691. Did y'all hear that ping? That is someone trying to reach out for a consultation. Anyway, today we are going to talk about what happens when your spouse dies and how that affects your application, how that affects what your chances are for your immigration process, and what you can do. And as I'm talking, guys, drop your comments in the box, ask me your questions. Interrupt me. That's the whole point of me being on here, is for you to interrupt me so I can answer your questions. So first of all, when a spouse dies, I don't wish that on anyone, particularly if you have young children, if you've been together for a short time and you're just starting out your life. I cannot imagine. I just suffered an irreplaceable loss of my mother, but I thank God for her 70 years that she was here with us. I can't imagine what it's like to lose a spouse. So if you lose a spouse, particularly a spouse that was actually going to petition for you, that is an additional level of stress and devastation, right? So now you're here, F1 student, undocumented, came as a B1, B2, whatever the case is, your spouse that was going to petition for your U.S. citizen spouse has died. What do you do? Well, the first thing is you can still petition as a widow or widower even after your spouse dies. If you actually had a petition pending, I-130, that now converts into something called an I-360 petition, right? What you would have to do is send in a copy of the death certificate to prove that your spouse actually did pass away, a certified copy of that. Typically, it has to go through the state, Department of Vital Statistics, all that. And USCIS will then convert the petition to a spousal petition, a widower petition through an I-360. You will still have an interview. And I'm talking about this because someone asked this question yesterday. They will still call you for an interview. They're not trying to really re-traumatize you. They just want to make sure you live with your spouse, you guys had a relationship, and just make sure, everything checks off as it is. If your spouse dies before your spouse petitions for you, you can still get the benefit. You just have to make sure hi Facebook and YouTube. Thank you, whoever gave the heart. I don't know who that is, but thank you. You can still get the benefit of a spouse of a U.S. citizen as long as you petition within 2 years of the death of your spouse. Okay? So if your spouse dies within 2 years, so if your spouse dies in 2020, you want to make sure you file by 2022. This is not the case for spouses of green card holders. Spouses of green card holders can still get a benefit if they are inside the United States, but it's not as, there's certain criteria, and I'll do another live on that. I'm just focusing on spouses of U.S. citizens for right now. Spouses of green card holders, they still have a route if their spouse dies, but it's not as smooth as it would be if you were a spouse of a U.S. citizen. Okay? And the same thing applies even with VAWA. Let's say your spouse was abusive, did not treat you right, was physically, emotionally, psychologically abusive, and they pass away. You can still petition for VAWA within 2 years of your spouse passing away, as long as we can show that you guys were still, you had a marriage, you can prove the abuse, you can prove that your marriage is bona fide. You can still petition for VAWA 2 years after your spouse passed away. Hi, everyone. Let me give some shout outs. Okay. Lioness Queen, MRA Fam, Zion Imagery, Loafer Consulting, Hetty Noye, Voltmaster. Hi, Voltmaster. Oli Roche, Ajoke Wobla, Gabby Higareda, Hola. Regina, hey Leda, Oman Philip, good morning. Kevin Astute, hey y'all. Let me give some hellos. All right, thanks Leda. I miss you, Leda. I will try to connect when I get back. I'll be heading out of town on Wednesday. So, death is not the end. It's not the end. It's certainly not it's not the end for immigration either, depending on the status that you have. There's always, there's even with the spouses of green card holders, there was a time when they could not even still get a benefit after their spouse died. But there's a new, I think Obama in I don't remember what year, but he put a provision in place to help, or Congress put a provision in place to help spouses of people who are not U.S. citizens and children and things like that and derivatives. So that is it for today, you guys. Oh, we got some comments over here. Hi, good morning from Nigeria, Uma Jakor. Share this live. Why don't you go ahead and share this live with your friends and your family, and make sure that they tap in with us tomorrow. And every day, because we're on here every day now, you guys, we're bringing this information because there's so many people who still do not know what's available to them. I had a consultation with someone yesterday, and they were just sharing with me how they've spent thousands and thousands of dollars on immigration lawyer fees, and they're still here undocumented. It's been like 20 years. And I'm like, well, maybe we can turn things around for you. Okay, we got a question. Oops, sorry. Okay, approximately how long the process now? COVID for U.S. citizen file for son over 21. So your son over 21 is not an immediate relative, but you can still petition for them. That process could take anywhere from, the immediate relatives are taking like 2 years, but is this son, I'm assuming the son is out of the U.S., so they're considered a preference category. So we would have to see what category they're in. And then if you go on USCIS.gov, or actually the National Visa Center, and look at their category and see what year USCIS is processing right now. My guess is probably like a few years or even more. Everything is taking a long time. See, your son that is 21, were he under 21, he would have been considered an immediate relative. And immediate relatives have visas available to them immediately. They don't have to stand in line, right? So you're able to process the application. Not that they get a visa, not that they get an approval immediately, but they're able to process sooner than wait in line. Okay, if you're on Facebook or YouTube, go ahead and share this live with everyone that's watching. If you're here on Instagram, tag your friends in the comments. Okay, guys, I wanted to share some update with y'all, okay? Because, the NVC is super backlogged, and I think it's important for everyone that's waiting on a visa, on a consulate interview, or you have a visa application pending, so you understand that this is not within our control. We do the best that we can, at least my firm, I can speak for me. We do congressional inquiries, we push the NVC, but let me tell you how backlogged they are. As of June 2022, there are still about 400,000 cases pending for an interview. Okay. Hola, buenos días, ¿cómo estás? I see some of my Spanish speaking audience tapping in. Good morning. So about 400,000 cases pending. So if you're waiting on an interview, you are one of the 400. That's a lot of cases. That's a lot of cases, right? And I would argue that they're probably all ready. They're probably all due for an interview. So now they got to figure out which ones they push to the front of the line. Hi, British Timiddish from UK. They got to figure out which ones they push to the front of the line. They got to figure out which ones are emergencies. Which cases are present a more urgent situation. I've had cases where the clients were waiting on an interview. They became really ill, cancer, issues, life-threatening, and that's when they move them to the front of the line and they get to have an interview before you, who may be young and healthy. And, yes, you miss your family, but you don't present you don't have a life-threatening emergency that warrants you to get an interview before someone who needs to get here and seek medical attention. So I just wanted to just kind of share that number with you guys. So, I have a lot of cases right now, particularly at the Monrovian consulate, that are waiting for an interview. And I keep trying to explain to these clients, my clients, that we check in every 90 days. We have the congressional inquiry on them. It's just a lot of people. Okay. So can one file? Oh, it depends. So it depends on what your I-751 is based on. If you're filing, it sounds like you're having issues in your marriage, right? The question would be, what's really going on? If maybe there's some like abuse, emotional, verbal, financial, you could file your I-751 right now without waiting, right? If we use the extreme cruelty and abuse waiver. And don't let the term extreme cruelty throw you off like, extreme cruelty. No, there are a lot of things that over a period of time, if someone treats you a certain way, under immigration law, it rises to that level. The other option is if you get Calvin, let's do a consultation. Because you could file your removal of conditions right now. If we make the assessment and we determine that you actually do have a case of extreme cruelty, you don't have to wait. You can be separated, you can be together, you can be divorced. It doesn't really matter. So let's do a consultation, 612-453-2691. Okay? All right. And if you're filing a removal of conditions based on divorce, USCIS won't make a decision until you have an actual final divorce decree. So remember that. You have to have a final divorce decree before USCIS makes a decision if it's based on divorce. There's also another grounds for a waiver called hardship, and you just have to show that if you were to be deported. So let me give you an example of hardship. Example of hardship is you're not divorced, there's no abuse, but you can't find your spouse. You don't know where they are. They just abandoned you. They're not answering their phone. They don't want to jointly remove the conditions with you. And so you can't prove that you're not divorced, and you also can't really prove extreme cruelty, but this person is just nowhere to be found. So you can't jointly file. So you default to hardship. Hardship would mean, if you were to go back to your home country, you would suffer persecution. It's kind of like an asylum analysis, not as detailed, because you can, talk about what you could possibly face if you were to go to your home country. Maybe they look down on people who have come to the United States thinking that they're better. Now they return back, unmarried, not much to show for themselves. You have people who, see you guys, my phone is blowing up. You have people who maybe are here in the United States and they have become the breadwinner. And if they were to leave to go back to their home country, their children here would suffer, U.S. citizen children. Or you have medical conditions. Maybe your children here have medical issues. And if they were to return back to their home country, you don't have the resources there to care for them. These are all things that we can use to show hardship. Good morning, Geraldine. Thank you. I'm giving y'all the cold shoulder today, one sleeve. Y'all know I bring the fashions. I bring the fashions and the immigration news, okay? So, Calvin, let's do a consultation. I handle cases like yours all the time. where you're removing, now you have the 2-year green card, but your spouse is trying to hold you hostage, reminding you that this green card you have is because of them. If they were to leave you, you have no other options. They are the reason why you're here. They are the reason why you're even able to accomplish anything. You're working, they're asking you for all the money. They're humiliating you, all that. If you qualify to remove conditions based on abuse and extreme cruelty, you can remove the conditions at any time. You don't have to wait 2 years. That's something a lot of people do not know. So let's say you get your green card. Let's say you got your green card in January of this year, and you're expected to remove the conditions 90 days before the 2 years. You can remove the conditions the next day if your spouse becomes abusive. We file those all the time, right? A week later, 2 months later, your spouse starts to get a little insecure because now they know that you have a little bit more freedom because now you have a green card. You know, you can travel, you can work with your green card, and they worry that you're going to, it's just insecurities. Please give me your address and your website. Okay, let's go ahead and put that in here. Y'all, if anyone knows how to pin, let me know, because, you know, Kelvin, just give us a call. Give you my phone number. Just call me. 612. All right, put my phone number in here. You guys, I am just really bad at pinning. Let me see if I can pin this. Oh, hold on. I don't know how to pin. Comment. All right, y'all. I don't know how to do that. Okay. All right. So, you guys ask me your questions. What are your questions? What are your concerns? What worries you as an immigrant? What are the things that maybe, you know, you're going through, or maybe you wish that you knew when you were going through your process that could have made your process easier? I'm going to start doing a side-by-side, having people come on here and share their immigration stories if you're comfortable, because I think a lot of times when we share our stories, it really inspires other people to take action and to do things that they otherwise would not do, that they were too scared to do. And it helps them and guides them through their process also. So that's why it's so amazing that in 2022, we have platforms like social media, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, where we can bring immigration information. When I spoke to that guy yesterday, and he said he's been trying to get his green card for 20 years. He spent thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. And he was so hesitant to hire me. And I said, listen. And he was hesitant to hire me because he said he's just spent so much money. And I said, listen, if you don't trust me and you don't believe in me, I don't want your money and I'm not going to take your case. I said, so between the 60 all 5-star reviews and my reputation and my integrity, you have to be able to trust him. But I understood where he was coming from because he's been bitten so many times that he has shaken faith. He doesn't trust anyone. He doesn't trust any lawyer because he's been through all these different processes. And now he's sitting here. He has an approved I-360, but he has a denied I-485. And he's coming to us to either file an appeal or to present a whole new case for him. So I told him, I said, if you're going to hire me, you have to trust me 100%. Otherwise, I don't want your case. All right? Because it's going to be it's a long relationship. These cases are taking so long. Once you hire me, we're in this together, right? So if there's anyone on here who maybe had questions about the widow petition, I hope that was helpful for you. I hope you kind of got some information that you could use and decide what you need to do. If you've lost a spouse, you can certainly petition if your spouse is a U.S. citizen. And someone had asked last time if you can go, if they ask for an interview. Typically, yes, they will. Also, I noticed that they've been doing a lot of waiving of interviews because they're trying to move things along. So if they look at your case, everything checks off, and they have a gut feeling things look good, you may not need an interview. All right. Oh, thank you. Thank you. How long does it take? Oh, we got a question on Facebook. How long does it take for spouse visa if your spouse is overseas? Everything is taking 2 to 2.5 years, even 3 years, to be honest with you, depending on where you're coming from, what country, how backlogged they are. I just read out the most recent update from the NVC. They're backlogged as of June 22, 400,000 cases. just to give you a little perspective. Okay, let's see. We got some questions here. What are reasons to get I-485 denied? Oh, a lot of reasons. Jurisdiction. So a lot of attorneys, knowing that you have a case in court, will file a 485 with USCIS and not properly terminate the case in the court. USCIS does not have jurisdiction if you have a removal matter. So that's one reason for denial. Two, you may have, you may be inadmissible, right? You may have something in your immigration history that presents a case that makes you not eligible for an I-485. That is something that an attorney should properly assess, assuming they have all the information, properly assess before filing your I-485 and prepare that you may need a waiver. That's why we also require that everyone, if you come to us and you have a lengthy immigration pass, we will do a FOIA. We won't take your case without doing a FOIA because that's important. Also, you may just have, the information may not be enough. You may not have proven your case to USCIS. You have to prove that you are eligible for a green card because it's also discretionary, right? Giving you a green card is discretionary. They can look at some things in your file and it doesn't check off and they deny it. So a lot of reasons. You can send the wrong fee in, the wrong payment amount. You could miss a lot of information. Maybe they sent you an RFE, or request for evidence, and you did not respond appropriately. Maybe your sponsor simply does not make enough money and you don't have a co-sponsor. There's so many reasons why an I-485 could be denied. That's why I strongly recommend this is not something that you take on your own. This is something that you hire an experienced and knowledgeable attorney to assist you with. Hi, Mr. Cutman, Alejandra Santa, 23, Marzipe, Steffi Tavelski. Did I say that right? All right, you were talking about filing for 10 years green card anytime. Yes, so that is if you have a 2-year green card and your spouse is starting to become abusive. And when I say abusive, abuse is dynamic. It's a lot of things, right? But essentially they're trying to control you, manipulate you, threaten that the 2-year green card is tied to them. And if they were to call immigration, your 2-year green card would be canceled. You'd get deported. You would never have a chance to get a 10-year green card or naturalized. These are things that people think that they're tied when they petition for you. You're tied to them forever and they can control you. If that's the case, as soon as you get your 2-year green card, we can petition for your 10-year green card immediately. You do not have to wait 2 years. That's what I was talking about. Hi, Pascal Moja, Guerrera 023. Edwin Guadalupe, hola, si estás aquí y habla solo español, por favor, deje tus preguntas en la caja abajo. Puedo contestar tus preguntas también. O puedes enviarme un mensaje en mi inbox, DM me. I am just giving a little message to my Spanish-speaking audience. You guys know I'm bilingual. I speak Spanish and English, and I have clients that speak Spanish. And so if they're on this live, I am telling them to put their questions and I'll answer it for them. All right, guys. So a quick tip for you guys before I log off is if you decide that you want to file, hola, de nada. Gracias por venir. If you are deciding that you want to file your immigration petition, your green card on your own, sure. But here's one tip I'll leave with you. Make sure that you read the instructions on uscis.gov. Make sure that the forms you're using, the edition dates are updated and they're current. Make sure you know the correct filing fee for your application. So a lot of times, you do, I'll give you an example. If we do a VAWA and the client the spouse is a U.S. citizen or green card holder right now because they have visas available, we do an I-360, we do an I-485, we do an I-765, we do an I-131. I've been doing this so long, we know, what the fee is for everything put together, right? However, a lot of other people don't know that when you do an adjustment of status, and you file a green card, a work permit, you don't have to pay separate for the work permit, right? I-360, there's no fee for that. And so a VAWA petition together with everything is only $12.25. There are people who submit 1760. That is for a spousal classic marriage petition. If you give USCIS 1 penny over what they want or 1 penny under, they will reject your application. A lot of times people will send their applications in without a means of tracking. Do not do that. Please submit your applications either through USPS priority mail so you can track it, or FedEx. All right. I like to use FedEx because I think they're a little bit more reliable, because if your application is sent off and it actually never gets to USCIS, then they never got it. Then you don't know. They don't know. They're like, did you track it? You know? So just pay that extra $20, $15 and have it sent off with a means of tracking. All right. All right, guys. If you don't have any more questions, I will leave you guys. Hola, Yassi Sanchez. Hola. And tomorrow I'm going to talk about T visas. I'm going to keep bringing T visa information because there's so many people who qualify for T visas and they just don't know because they don't know about it, right? So T visas kind of deal in the context of involuntary servitude, really harsh working environments, being taken advantage of at your work. And the reason why you're being taken advantage of is because you're without documentation, you're without status, your employer has you working overtime, has you working, for very little pay, not paying you, and they're threatening and they're coercing you because you're undocumented. And they're reminding you that you're undocumented, you better take what I'm giving you, take these conditions, take this $8 an hour and work 12 hours a day, or else I'll get you deported, I'll call immigration. That is the context of a T visa. It also is applicable in like domestic relationships. So for people who may not qualify for VAWA, if we take a closer look at your case where maybe you're with a partner and your partner has you, doing things that couples normally would not do to each other. So they have you working and they're taking all the money. They have you cleaning, cooking, and they're using threats of deportation to keep you in that servitude, right? We also have these also happen at like nursing homes. Oh, we have a question. Sorry. Please, what can I do? I have been documented qualified since January, and now there's no interview date for me from. Yes, Pet IG. I know. I have clients who've been documented qualified since 2020. And particularly Nigeria, the Lagos embassy is so backed up. It is so backed up. Unfortunately, you're one of the 400,000 people waiting for an interview. You just have to wait. Please be patient. If you have an attorney, hopefully your attorney is at least, checking in and, keeping your case at the forefront. Not to say it's really going to move things a whole lot, but I do think that the cases where someone's checking in, it becomes a bit more, I think you become a bit more apparent to them, so to speak. So hopefully you have a lawyer and your lawyer's at least checking with the NVC at least once every 90 days at the very, very minimum. Okay. So as I was saying, the T visa could be applicable to people that work in nursing homes. I know in the African community, there are a lot of home health care businesses, And in those businesses, a lot of undocumented West Africans work in those businesses. And they work for little, and they work a lot, and they work under very, very unsavory conditions. They could potentially qualify for T visas. Okay, we have a question. I got deficiency notice. Can you tell me what's next in my VAWA case? Okay, so if you have a deficiency notice, unless they're asking you to send, that's just a medical report. That's fine. That's not a big deal. It doesn't mean anything. The deficiency notice is just to tell you, hey, we don't have your medical, but when it's time for the interview, they're expecting you to bring it with you. It's actually also a good sign that your case is coming up for an interview. when you get an I-693. It means that they've looked at it recently, they've realized that something's missing, and they're giving you a heads up. So I would say you probably have an interview coming up pretty soon here. So that's not a bad thing. Just make sure you have your medical report with you. Remember, when you do your medical, it has to be submitted to USCIS within 60 days of the signature. And once they have it, it's valid for 2 years. So I wouldn't do a medical right now. I would say do a medical when you get your interview notice, because a lot of times you have enough time. Okay. All right, guys. Well, if you guys don't have any more questions, be sure to check us out. We're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, and we are on here every day. Send me your questions in the DM and I'll answer them to make sure everyone has the information. All right, you guys, have a lovely rest of your week, and I'll see y'all tomorrow. Bye.